Hello guys. Welcome to the story world. We are to serve you best stories, but we need your help to complete our goal of 1,000 subscribers. So find the subscribe button and please click on it. Let's jumping into story. The ocean stretched endlessly in every direction. A vast and glimmering desert of blue that breathed and shifted under the weight of the sun. The rented yacht cut through the water like a silver arrow, leaving frothy trails behind it, the engine humming in perfect rhythm with the rolling waves. For 7 teenagers fresh out of their final year of high school, this wasn't just a trip. It was freedom. Freedom from parents, from small-town monotony, from the looming uncertainty of what came next. Lucas stood proudly at the helm, one hand on the wheel, the other lifting a soda can like a toast to the sea. "Ladies and gentlemen," he shouted above the wind, "welcome to the best week of your lives." Jake, sprawled on a deck chair with his camera trained on the water, snorted. "Or the last week of our lives, depending on how bad you are at steering." Lucas shot him a grin over his shoulder. "Relax, I've got this under control." He gave the wheel a playful spin, making the yacht sway just enough to earn squeals from Sarah and Emily, who clutched each other dramatically near the bow. "Don't sink us before we even reach the fun part," Emily said, laughing as her hair whipped around her face. Noah sat cross-legged near the railing, fiddling with the fishing rod he'd insisted on bringing. He was quieter than the rest, always observing before speaking. But his grin, as he glanced at the dolphins leaping in the distance, was proof enough that he was enjoying himself. And then were Ryan and Mia, tucked away at the stern, slightly apart from the chaos of their friends. Ryan sat with his legs dangling over the edge, sneakers kicking at the water, his hands gripping the railing as if it were the only thing keeping him grounded. Mia sat beside him, her sun hat tilted just enough to hide her eyes, but when she turned to smile at him, Ryan swore. The world slowed down. 3 years. 3 years of knowing her, laughing with her, falling for her in quiet moments between classes and late-night study sessions. And yet he'd never said a word about how he felt. Now, with nothing but the open sea and a blazing summer sun around them, it felt like his last chance before life carried them both in different directions. "This is insane," Mia said, her voice tinged with excitement as she gazed at the horizon. "I still can't believe Lucas convinced his uncle to let us take this thing out. It feels unreal." Ryan shrugged, trying to sound nonchalant even as his heart pounded. Lucas could talk anyone into anything. If he wanted to, he could probably sell snow in Alaska. She laughed, a sound that made his chest ache in the best way possible. "And you," she said, nudging him lightly with her shoulder, "you're in charge of the important stuff, right? Food, water, and—" She tilted her head, smirking. "Fuel?" Ryan froze for the tiniest fraction of a second before forcing confident grin. "Of course, we've got plenty. I double-checked this morning." It was a lie, a harmless one, or so he thought. He had meant to check, but between loading their gear, keeping Jake from falling overboard while goofing around on the dock, and Mia asking for help with her bags, he'd gotten distracted. When the soft beeping on the dashboard went off an hour ago, he'd assumed Lucas had it under control. After all, they were only supposed to be a few hours from the first stop on their trip. A quiet little island with white sand beaches and clear water that Lucas had promised was a hidden gem. The yacht surged forward, engine thrumming louder, as Lucas steered toward the setting sun. Music blasted from a Bluetooth speaker, a fast, carefree beat that matched the energy of the group. Emily and Sarah danced on the deck, laughing and twirling, while Jake filmed every moment, already planning to cut the footage into a best summer ever video for their social media feeds. Ryan couldn't help but smile at his friends, the warmth of their laughter sinking into his bones. This was supposed to be the trip they'd remember forever, the last real adventure before college, jobs, and adulthood. But a sliver of unease gnawed at the back of his mind. They were far from shore now, farther than he'd expected, and the coastline had disappeared behind a curtain of haze. The waves seemed larger, the yacht smaller, and for just a moment, Ryan thought he heard that faint beeping again from the dashboard, a warning ignored, a reminder of something he should have checked. He told himself he'd look at it later. Right now, all he wanted was to stay in this perfect moment, with Mia leaning close, the sun warm on his skin, and the ocean stretching on forever like it held all the possibilities in the world. Little did he know that one tiny mistake, the kind you brush off without a second thought, was already steering them toward a nightmare none of them could have imagined. The sun began to sink lower, staining the horizon with hues of fiery orange and deep magenta. The waves shimmered like molten gold as the day slowly surrendered to dusk. The yacht hummed steadily forward, leaving a foamy wake behind, as if it were carving a path into another world entirely. As the group settled into a more relaxed mood, the music softened, replaced by the occasional crackle of the speaker and the rhythmic crash of waves. Lucas was still behind the wheel, though his confident grin had dulled just a little, his eyes narrowing as he checked their course. The others didn't notice. They were sprawled across the deck, soaking in the last warmth of daylight, enjoying the illusion that nothing bad could ever touch them out here. Ryan sat beside Mia, the soft breeze lifting strands of her hair and brushing them across his arm. His heart was pounding louder than the gentle drone of the engine. He'd been thinking about it all day, ever since they set sail. Tonight, under the stars, he was finally going to tell her. "You ever think about what comes next?" Mia asked suddenly, her gaze fixed on the horizon where the sun kissed the ocean. Ryan hesitated. "After this trip? After everything," she said softly. "School's done, everyone's going to different colleges, new lives. Feels like the end of something, doesn't it?" Ryan swallowed hard, fighting down the lump in his throat. "Yeah," he admitted, staring out at the endless water. "Feels like everything's about to change." She gave him a small, wistful smile. "I hope we don't lose this, though. You know, us." Ryan's breath caught. "We won't," he said quickly, the words coming out before he could stop them. "No matter what happens, we'll always have this." Her eyes met his, soft and searching, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to just the two of them. This was it, his chance. But before he could say anything more, Lucas called out from the helm. "All right, crew," he said, clapping his hands together dramatically. "We've got about another hour before we hit the island. Plenty of time for dinner and a little stargazing." Ryan blinked, his courage faltering as the moment slipped away like water through his fingers. He turned back to Mia with a sheepish smile. "Guess we should eat before the others devour everything." They joined the others near the small table in the center of the deck. Emily and Sarah unpacked sandwiches, chips, and soda, while Jake fussed with his camera, filming every candid laugh and ridiculous face he could capture. Noah managed to haul in a small fish, much to everyone's surprise, holding it aloft like a trophy before tossing it back into the ocean. As they ate, the sun finally disappeared, leaving behind a wash of purples and blues in the sky. One by one, stars blinked into existence, so clear and bright out here, far from the city lights. The yacht drifted on in the quiet night, its engines still humming steadily. Though every now and then, Ryan thought it sounded a little weaker, a little strained. He glanced toward the control panel near the helm. A faint red light flickered on and off, and a soft beep followed every few minutes. Lucas hadn't mentioned anything, so maybe it was nothing. Still, unease pricked at Ryan's mind. "You think we're almost there?" he asked as Lucas strolled over to grab a drink. "Should be," Lucas replied, cracking open a soda. "Another 45 minutes tops. The island should pop up any time now." Ryan frowned, glancing around the endless ocean. Not a speck of land in sight. "Fuel's good, right?" he asked, trying to keep his voice casual. Lucas shrugged. "Yeah, I think so. You checked this morning, didn't you?" Ryan hesitated. Yeah, totally." But even as he said it, his stomach twisted. Neither of them had actually checked properly. They'd been so caught up in the excitement, in the music and the laughter and Mia's smile, that they hadn't paid attention. Another beep sounded, louder this time, and Ryan noticed the fuel gauge needle had dipped dangerously close to empty. His mouth went dry. "Lucas," he said slowly, "we might have a problem." Lucas followed his gaze and cursed under his breath. He rushed to the controls, tapping the gauge, as if that might change the reading. The low fuel alarm gave another urgent beep, making everyone on deck look up in confusion. "What's going on?" Emily asked, brow furrowing. Nothing," Lucas said quickly, forcing a grin that looked more like a grimace. "Just a little low on gas. Nothing to worry about." Jake groaned. "A little low? How low are we talking?" Lucas didn't answer. Instead, he turned back to Ryan, panic flickering in his eyes. Ryan swallowed hard, guilt clawing at his chest. If he'd just checked like he was supposed to. The engine sputtered, coughed once, and the steady hum they'd grown used to began to falter. The yacht slowed, its bow cutting through the water less sharply now. The sudden quiet that followed made the ocean feel impossibly vast, like they were floating in the middle of nowhere. The 7 friends stared at one another, realization slowly dawning. They were stranded. Mia's hand brushed Ryan's, a silent question in the darkness. He didn't have an answer for her, only a sick, twisting feeling that this was all his fault. And far off in the distance, beyond the reach of their voices, the ocean whispered against the hull, pulling them toward an unseen island where something waited in the shadows, something no one had ever found before. Thanks for listening. Hit the like button if you really like this story, and don't forget to subscribe.